Cool, cool. And the spectator TV, how we watch the game, can we expect any new type of features or, what can we expect from the spectator TV?
Oh yeah, that was painful at the tournament. A lot of Ito hiding in the corner, clicking players to change around. We're doing a lot of advancement in that for Dota 2. And that's kind of driving a lot of what we're adding right now. I mean, obviously there's some differences between the game, and we'll have to make changes that reflect that. But there's a core amount of technology that just needs to happen, and they're driving it out ahead. When the beta comes out at first, it's not going to have anything, which is, we want to kind of temper people's expectation with the beta. It's going to start off pretty raw without a lot of extra bells and whistles. And then we'll build on it from there. So it will be coming. It's something we have planned. It's something we are working on, but we're actually working on it in a different game right
now. All right. And as far as the maps go, can you tell us, do you know exactly what maps we can expect to have? And then are there any new ones in the works?
Well, so there's 8 classic maps, and that's what we've been showing a lot of recently, right? I mean, Dust 2, Nuke. And then we also have some new maps coming out for Gun Game, because Gun Game we want to kind of emphasize quick play. So those are some smaller maps, and they're really tight. So there are 8 maps there. I think based on feedback recently, we originally were just going to ship 7 kind of classic maps, and now we're going to go with 8 with the addition of Train. And
okay.
if you're waiting for me to list them all consecutively, I'm not going to be able to do that off the top of my head, and I wasn't smart enough to pull up the sheet that has it.
Oh, that's all right. Well, 8 maps, I mean, that's plenty that I could ask for, especially if you guys are already going to include the classic ones that, are used for competitive play right now. And if you could just add in, I'm sorry, go ahead.
All told, we'll start the beta with 1 or 2. And then build from there till eventually 16 when we say it's finished. But then it's not really finished. We'll continue looking internally and as well to the community for additional maps.
Okay. Yeah, and if you could just add in a ton of zombie maps too, again, that'd be much appreciated. And also, Kyle, this question might be for you. How is the recoil for the guns? Is it's more similar to 1.6? Is it more like Source? What did you think about the feel of that?
This weekend actually I think was the first weekend that I know of that anyone outside of Valve actually got hands-on with kind of the new recoil system that they're working on. I think the last playtest they did, it was just kind of like a copy of the Source recoil. So no one really got to see it, which was cool because they actually had some really interesting ideas with what they're trying to do with it. It was difficult to control. It was their plan, I guess, was to have a different recoil pattern for each gun that would kind of raise the skill ceiling, if you will, for a competitive player or any player, really. So instead of just kind of dragging down on your mouse to compensate for recoil if you're on your AK or your M4, they kind of wanted to make it like unique where, okay, maybe you're going to be doing like an upside down 7 or something like that for an M4 and the AK is different and kind of just like, a lot more to learn for each gun, which I definitely think is cool because, raising the skill ceiling any way you can, I think is great for the game. It gives people things that they want to work on or, you're not just going to pick up the game and instantly be as good as you were in 1.6 or Source. It's kind of like a learning curve and that's fun. It's always fun to learn something new. We didn't really get to test out like how to control everything that well because the recoil was kind of wild and crazy. But we were the first people to try it, and they're just constantly adjusting it, and so I'm sure the next time that we play it, things are going to be a lot tighter and a lot probably easier for people to kind of control that. And the system I think they came up with is really neat, so I'm interested to see how that's going to play out.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It's not like every gun's going to be shooting the same, so I like that idea.
Yeah, exactly. So, they've actually got a lot of really interesting ideas, and I think anything that kind of, help raise that skill ceiling is going to be important.
Right. And also, there's been some questions about a 2 diffuse kit situation. Could you comment more on that?
Well, let's say, Kyle, do you want to give your feedback on that? Because, I mean, I could say from our point of view, it's just something we wanted to try. Originally, we just had one, and people made a good argument for why there should be two. One of the things, it's so cheap of an item that it gets less interesting at times. But, maybe that's why we have the beta going. So maybe things will change. But what do you think of it, Kyle?
I mean, honestly, to me, it wasn't that huge of a deal. I can kind of see where people looking from the outside are like, okay, like they can't control who has kids. What are they gonna do? But at least in the rounds we were playing, if you needed a kit, you're gonna pick it up off of someone that had died, or they're gonna be there with you to defuse the bomb, pretty much. So it honestly didn't come into play that much. But I can see, if they're going to have a pro mode and a casual mode and a switch between the two, like, I think it'd probably, maybe in the casual mode, they can just kind of assign the kits out. And if they want to let the pro mode have, to where you can buy kits as something optional, or still give out the two. And if you want to buy the other ones, in addition, then that's up to you. Something like that, maybe like a compromise between the two. It wasn't that big of a deal, but, we didn't spend that much time, playing competitive maps. So I'm not sure how big it really will factor in.
Okay, so pretty much just two diffuse kits would spawn randomly on a CT side?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that's going to probably be changed for the professional gameplay, but I don't really see that being a impact maker in any other type mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really is one of those things of, I have some theories on what people can do that we'll probably start seeing pretty quickly, like dropping it by a bomb site so that it's just sitting there waiting. But, people are pretty good when you have mass testing to optimize for the best way to play something or handle something. So it's one of those things we can play internally with it for hours and hours and days, and the minute we release the beta, or I guess not the beta because in this case it'll be smaller, but people play the beta for 2 hours. We're going to get more testing in those 2 hours than we'll get internally ever. So, it's one of those things that just get it out to the community and start working from there.
Right on. And I hear there's going to be a matchmaking system where you can, join up with groups or probably play individually. Can you explain a little bit more on how that's going to work?
So the matchmaking is all about getting you with people that you want to play with in two different ways. Probably the bulk and the best new addition will be the skill-based matchmaking. So it's going to be based on an ELO rating, your won-loss percentage. That's that's a floating percentage, I believe. We can get into more details as we start releasing it and going over it. But essentially, we want to make sure people can find a good game of their skill. So as you're getting better at the game, you're playing people who are your same skill level. You don't have that thing where you jump into a server and just get destroyed because, Kyle's off pubbing or something like that. But, equally, a lot of people just play for fun to hang out. And if you're doing that and you just want to play with some friends, you can do the social matchmaking, and that'll just based on friends and some other criteria to try to get you with people that we think you'd like to play with.
Okay, so you'll have like when you join as a team, you'll have like a win-loss ratio ELO system like that. And maybe for a pub system, you could have like a kill-death ratio. So if you're playing individually, you could do it like that possibly.
Honestly, what we normally see is looking at a lot of data that the win-loss is more important than the kill-death ratio. It's one of those things of the ELO system's equally open to play, and definitely there's also team-based ELO where you're definitely really cleanly one loss is exactly what it should be about. But looking at statistics and when you try to boil down players' skill, just straight up one loss overall for their team is a pretty good indicator that encompasses a lot of different ways people play than just kill-death ratio. Honestly, personally, I wish kill-death ratio never started being the important thing for most games, including Counter-Strike, honestly. When you look at how you can contribute as a team, kill-death ratio is not the best indicator always. It's helpful, but it's not the best in single indicator.
True. It's always a team game, and that you don't want to promote baiting, that's for sure. A lot of campage going on. as far as the scoreboard and the user interface, can we expect any new changes or features to that?
It's funny watching people play for the first time and keep hitting tab continuously, not realizing that a lot of that information had been moved onto the main screen. Because if you look at the videos right up over the top, you can see who's alive, who's dead, score, and some other information. We got some feedback from people already on that, included, what should be included there and what would be more helpful on the screen or not. And it's something that will keep changing through the beta. Excuse me.